Imagine for a moment that you're living your life in the 21st century. You have access to modern conveniences like smartphones, the internet, and air conditioning. Life is pretty good, but what if you were suddenly transported back in time to the Jurassic Era? What if you found yourself in a world of dinosaurs? This is something that many people have wondered about, and there are even a few theories out there about what would happen if humans were to somehow end up in Jurassic Park. In this video, I'm going to do my best to answer this question by exploring some of the most popular theories and using my own imagination to fill in the gaps. Let's start with a little background. The Jurassic period was a time of great change and upheaval on Earth. There were massive volcanic eruptions that caused drastic climate change, and at the end of the period, there was a mass extinction event that wiped out all but a few species of dinosaurs. However, there were also many new species that evolved during this time, including the first birds and mammals. In short, it was a time of both great destruction and great opportunity. Now let's imagine that you are a person from the 21st century who has been transported back in time to the Jurassic period. You might be wondering what you should do first. Should you try to blend in and live like a dinosaur? Should you try to find other humans? Or should you try to find a way back to your own time? There are pros and cons to each approach, and ultimately, it will be up to you to decide what is best for you. Let's start by considering what would happen if you were to live in the Jurassic Era without any modern conveniences. You would need to find food and water, build shelter, and defend yourself from predators. Fortunately, you are a resourceful person and you are able to learn how to survive in the wilderness. You might live off the land by hunting small animals or gathering plants. You might build a shelter out of rocks and trees or make a cave your home. And when the predators come, you will need to fight back. You might use spears and bows and arrows to hunt animals for food, and you might even use these weapons to defend yourself against human enemies. If you're thinking that this sounds like a really bad idea, you're not alone, but it's actually not as bad as it seems. You see, the Jurassic period was a time of great abundance. There were lots of plants and animals to eat, and there were plenty of places to hide and take shelter. Plus, while there were certainly predators around, they weren't necessarily looking to eat humans. After all, humans didn't exist yet, so you probably wouldn't be on the menu. Of course, this doesn't mean that you would be safe. There were plenty of dangers to contend with, but overall, you would probably be able to survive. What about if you had some modern conveniences with you, like a gun? A gun would certainly be helpful when it comes to defending yourself against predators and human enemies. But it's not all good news. You see, guns rely on things like gunpowder and bullets, which wouldn't be available in the Jurassic period. If you were lucky enough to have some bullets with you when you traveled back in time, then you would have an advantage over the locals. But eventually, you would run out, and then you would be defenseless. It's also worth mentioning that guns are loud and they could attract unwanted attention. In short, a gun would be a useful tool, but it's not the end-all be-all that some people might think. What about more advanced technology like a flamethrower? A flamethrower would be incredibly useful in the Jurassic period. Not only would it be a powerful weapon against predators and human enemies, but it could also be used to clear away underbrush and create open spaces for farming. In fact, with a flamethrower, you could probably build a small settlement and create a thriving community of humans. Of course, flamethrowers aren't exactly common household items, so it's unlikely that you would have one with you if you were transported back in time. Even if you did, it wouldn't do much to help you survive the long term. Flamethrowers use up fuel very quickly, and they are not very environmentally friendly. If you used a flamethrower to clear away forest, it would create a lot of pollution, and it would release a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. In short, a flamethrower would be a useful tool in the short term, but it's not a viable long-term solution. So, what about if you had some really advanced technology with you, like a time machine? A time machine would obviously be incredibly useful, as it would allow you to travel back in time to get more supplies, or even to bring back domesticated animals from the future. However, time machines are currently only the stuff of science fiction, so it's unlikely that you would have one if you were transported back in time. Even if you did, it's unclear how well a time machine would work in the Jurassic period. After all, time machines are just as limited by the laws of physics as anything else. And the laws of physics were a bit different in the Jurassic period than they are now. So a time machine might not be able to function properly, at least not without some serious fine-tuning. What about if you had some really advanced technology with you, like a self-sustaining ecodome? An ecodome would be incredibly useful in the Jurassic period. It would provide you with a place to live that is free from predators and the elements. It would also give you a place to grow crops and raise livestock. In fact, you could probably create a small city and live very comfortably. The main downside of an ecodome is that they are expensive to build. If you were transported back in time without any money, then you would need to find a way to make a lot of money quickly. Otherwise, you might not be able to afford an ecodome. If you're still thinking that none of these options are particularly appealing, then I have one last option for you. You could simply return to your own time. As we all know, time travel is currently only the stuff of science fiction. But there are a few theories out there about how it might be possible. One of the most popular theories is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. This theory essentially says that every time a decision is made, the universe splits and creates two copies of itself. In one copy, the decision goes one way. In the other copy, the decision goes another way. Now, assuming that this theory is correct, then there are infinite copies of you out there making decisions and splitting the universe. Theoretically, you could travel to a universe where you decided to go back in time, and you could stay in that universe, or you could return to your own universe when you're ready. Of course, this is all just speculation. No one really knows what would happen if a human was transported back in time to the Jurassic period. But one thing is for sure, it would be an adventure of a lifetime. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it has made you think about what you would do if you were transported back in time. If you want to watch another video, then please click the link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.